The community of Mount Juliet and Mount Juliet High School have endured heavy hearts this week with the passing of legendary principal and coach Mel Brown. But for Mr. Brown, it's not what he did, but how he did it and who he did it for. And for those who knew him best, they know it all too well.
He was transparent and authentic, and he was the same with everybody. Trustworthy. You know, he was a man of his word. A man of a lot of words and few words at the same time. He had a lot to say, but much of it you had to piece together to understand what he was talking about.
What was the secret to Mr. Brown? He just resonated with so many people.
He was, first off, he's one of the kindest people you'll ever meet, and he met everybody with kindness and grace and a smile. And it didn't matter really what was going on. He was the model of consistency, and you knew when you showed up at Mount Juliet High School in the mornings that he was going to be there and he was going to put in his very best, and that's what he expected of everybody else.
His loss could be felt by many as messages of remembrance, love, and support have continued to rain down throughout the week. Former students, staff members, you name it, so many have offered their sincere words for a man who touched the lives of countless people along the way.
It was almost of a father-type figure to a lot of us, especially our younger teachers that were in our building, or it was to me anyway too. It was, you didn't want to disappoint him because he knew how to take your strengths and leverage them together as a collective group to really push you to want to succeed.
I think there are people who simply have a gravity to them. And I don't know if it becomes absorbed through other people who also share that feeling, so when you're new, you just absorb that feeling too, or if it's just kind of there and you feel it. Mr. Brown was one of those people. You felt the gravity of his experience. You felt every word he said. You felt every word he wasn't saying, all at one time. And I think it was that depth and that gravity in him that led a lot of people to follow him even when they didn't quite get where we were going.
A huge thing that I take from Mr. Brown is so many people would say, I have never worked harder than I did when Mr. Brown was at the helm. High expectations, demanding, and he set the example for that. I don't think you're going to find many people who would say that they ever had a bad day. We worked really, really hard under his leadership. Because it was the right thing to do. But when we left at the end of the day, we were happy that we had been there.
Some say he carried a coach's mentality with him wherever he went, and rightfully so. Inducted into the TSSAA Hall of Fame in 1999, Coach Brown won 3 state baseball championships at McGavock High School and 17 district titles over a 20-year span. But for Coach Brown, he never boasted about his honors, which would ultimately include a Tennessee Principal of the Year award near the end of his long and illustrious career.
It's very rare and elite to have somebody to come in here and they're good at everything, and if they're not, they're going to figure out a way to be, and they can motivate you. He didn't have to motivate me to want to win football games, but I'm sure there were people, you know, that in different areas in our school that needed that little push, because I've read the stories, you know, since then. I know most of them, and never seemed to have a bad day. I know he fought a lot of battles, but just it amazed me. It did then, and probably more now, even in the years afterwards. It's just amazing what he did each and every day.
One of the remarkable things about him is, personally for me, he was exactly what I needed, who I needed, and when I needed it. And I think the remarkable thing about him is he was the same way for thousands of different people, that he was just a rock.
He was a true leader, even keeled, never too high or too low. He was always in control. But don't let that fool you. Mr. Brown did have a very unique sense of humor.
I get a phone call and he gets a text message that there's a cow loose. And so in my mind, I'm thinking we're never going to get to have Ag Day again. The Cal's loose. Somebody's going to get hurt. Destruction.
Was it just going down Golden Bear Gateway?
It wasn't luckily going down Golden Bear Gateway. It was loose near the football field. And then I'm thinking, Coach Perry's going to get upset because we had a Friday night football game. He's going to tear the football field up. All the situations are running through my mind of what really is going down there. So we get down there and we get the Cal finally after several attempts. We get it back into his trailer, get everybody calmed down. No one was hurt. I'm covered in mud, manure, blood, sweat. It's just one of those. And Mr. Brown walks up and he goes, "This will make a great yearbook picture." And so there is I can't remember what year that was, but he stopped, took a yearbook, because in our mind we thought we're never going to have Ag Day again. It's undecided, but no, he was right there with us, and he said, "This will make a great yearbook picture."
Mr. Brown was full of metaphors, and if there was anything about him that was not intentional and was off the cuff, sometimes he would start a metaphor before he knew how it was going to end. I think my favorite one was he was here in the classroom and he said, "I get what you're saying, Mr. Peach. Too many spoons in the soup, it gets real soupy." And he was very amused with our similar understanding how poorly this metaphor had gone.
Even though he retired from Mount Juliet High School in 2018 after nearly 15 years as their principal, many traditions that he instilled are going very strong even today, including this chant. Mr. Brown was Mr. Bear Pride, and he cared deeply for anyone who walked through the doors of Mount Juliet High School. In addition, family and faith were so important to him.
He definitely was a man of faith who I do think that when he arrived early in the morning to go and check out every inch of the building and to open doors for substitute teachers that would be arriving, I sincerely believe that he was probably praying over every person that would be walking those halls after he left those hallways.
So to Mr. Brown, we say thank you for all that you did, and we hope you've put that baseball hat on one more time. Why? Because the ovation of your life's work can still be heard today. So go ahead, touch 'em all, Mr. Brown, and enjoy many days in the sun. We're rooting for you all the way as you make your way home.